Shut up and sit down.
Okay, Colin here, Festa 67's workshop, and welcome to part 1 of the Revell RMS Titanic 1700 scale kit, and it's kit number 05210, and it's actually not a badly detailed kit, to be quite honest with you. So we'll just open up the old boxy pops and have a little looky-loo, and there's the instructions. Quite an old set of instructions, these were in the days before Revell went into their all singing, all dancing colour instructions, but they're concise enough. Sprue guides are just there, and then pretty easy to follow sections there. Exploded view of the pieces that you're going to be gluing together. There's not a massive amount to this kit, so there'll be quite a bit of speed building going on, you know. So the decks and that are pretty straightforward, just flat strips with some side panels and bits and bobs. So I'll probably build it in 2 sub-assemblies if I'm honest. Probably do the hull and the base for it, then do the entire deck assembly with all the funnels and everything, and then spray prime it, because I wanna bung a couple of warm LEDs in there to light her up as well, just to display a little bit. So I'm going to drill out some of the windows on one side. I'm going to leave the other side as is, because there's no point in drilling out all the windows when you're never going to see them. So I'm just going to lightly run a bit of glue down this seam and put a bulkhead in. And I shall put both of them in on their representative halves and then join the boat together. So I'll just hold that in place whilst it bonds a little bit. And it's pretty rapid setting glue. So yeah, so we'll grab the other one, which is just on there, and nip that off. And you can't get these mixed up because there's a little notch on one, and the other one hasn't got the notch, so they'll only go in one way, these little bulkheads. But they come in handy because they stop the hull from flexing. So yeah, but mind you, judging by the holes in the bulkheads, no wonder she's sunk, because yeah, they wouldn't stop anything, would they? Yeah, so we'll just glue a bit of that in there and hold that in place momentarily, like that. A little bit of pressure I'm putting on with my finger behind it, just to get it conform. And then I think we can run a bit of glue along this seam here. Same with the other one, like that. And this is just to get them bulkheads to start bonding on both sides, and then I shall excuse me, I shall run the extra fin along the main keel of the hull from the inside, just to start getting it to bond. So I'll put a load of it in there like that, just to try and get it to start soaking in, just like that. Just a tiny squeeze is all I'm putting on it, just to try and hold her in whilst it goes. And I tend to do the middle and then I work my way out. So a couple of bits are a bit bowed because I've had this kit quite a while, so it's a little bit of a nana, but you know, beggars can't be choosers and all of that lot. So I might have to get a couple of the old clamps out just to persuade the Revell plastic to comply. So I'm going under me breath, resistance is futile. So yeah, I think we'll put a clamp on the end there, round by where the rudder's gonna go. But I'll get a little bit of glue in there just to start the melting process, and we'll pin that in place, I think, because it might just try to keep springing back out. Apologies for the aeroplane there. Like so. Scoot a little bit along there, I'll just sit and hold that for a moment, like so. But all in all, I've had a little looky-loo around the ship, and there is some nice bits of detail. You've got all the plating and everything on the sides, so there's, I would say, room for weathering, but there wouldn't be too much on this because obviously, bless her, she sunk on a maiden voyage. But definitely to pick out some of the shadow of the panels, I might go over it with a very light wash, just to try to add a little bit of texture or yeah, you know what I'm trying to say, contours and everything, just to give, you know, a little bit of a transition, define some of the edges of the plates and things like that. But there's not going to be that much of sort of rust or anything of that nature because, you know, she only made sort of 2/3 of her crossing, so yeah. And this is going to be one of those sort of on the base, more of a, this is the Titanic in all her glory displays rather than a seascape or anything like that. But we'll just bung a bit of clampage in there. But if you have a look at the photo in the bottom left there, that's pretty much what she looks like when she's built. So yeah, we're going for that kind of brand new sort of, yeah, look. So just try and get a bit of glue just to seep in a couple of these seams, and she's pretty much, that's the whole done. And I do envy all the guys out there. There's quite a few guys that I know that are building the big one, yeah, the big trumpeter. And I must admit, I've seen some of the photos going up of it, and it does look a rather splendid kit. But I think I might not have the room for it, if I'm honest. But yeah, it's one of them. We'll just have a little look-see at the decking. Just to see what's going on there. We're going to be doing the first section of it, and I'm trying to figure out the best way of assembling it where I'd like to be able to pop it apart if I needed to change any bulbs out, but LED bulbs do last forever and a day. But I certainly think for painting purposes it's going to be easier doing it with the decks and the whole separate, so that's what I'm going to do. All of that inside's going to have a coat of matte black, just to stop the light from bleeding through from any of the LEDs. So there'll be probably 2 or 3 coats of that going in there. And then we'll have a bit of warm LED. I'm not sure whether to line it with reflective foil as well, just to give the light something to rebound off of around the ship, you know, in there. So I possibly may use some aluminium tape to give it a bit of shinage. So I did it with me Voyager. I lined the inside of it, and it gives off a really really nice reflection. So I think we'll have a bit of rudder and give that just a bit of a scrape, nothing too mad. So people cringing because I'm running a knife down a piece, but yeah, it's just to give it a bit of texture, but also it knocks the nub off. But yeah, just put a tiny dab in there like that, and we'll slap that in and then come back at it just to glue that piece in there, because the propeller's got to go on this as well at some point. So we'll put a little clamp on there just to pinch it, and we'll then look at probably putting in the main side fins for the propellers on port and starboard. So if we do the port side first, get that one in. I want to try and get the glue to really ooze in along the seams and get in there, so that when I paint it, there's no real big gaps, so to speak, but I still want something just for the wash to go into, just to give that transition between one piece and another. So we got that one in. I think we might as well do the starboard side whilst we're here. So we'll have a bit of that. Bit of gluage along there. Prop that in. And that's a bit of a resistance fit, that one, so it might take a bit of persuasion. But she's gone in. Yeah. Slap an extra bit of glue in there. Like that. It's looking mint. Liking that already. So I think we'll go for this big old bit of deckage going on there, and it is literally just a flat sheet of styrene, and then you'll put in all your little window frames in and all of that, but there's not a massive amount in it. But luckily there's holes in this, so the light should zoom up and light some of that as well. So yeah, I think we're going to have a nice effect. I don't want it too bright, I just want it warm LED, because it was early 19th century, wasn't it? 17, something like that, I don't know, 1917, Titanic went down. Yeah. And we've got the anchors and all of that lot at the front, but I'll put them on more towards the end, I think, when it comes to starting to paint it, because I know what'll happen, I'll knock them off. So we'll get all the decks together and we'll just start nipping them off the sprues. Probably film quite a bit of it, but some of it I might end up off shot, I don't know, it depends on how small the pieces are. But I haven't got my magnifier out yet today, so if I do nip off camera, I do apologise, but I'll try and keep you abreast of what's going on. So I'll just gather up the rest of my bits and bobs, figure out which bit is going to be the first one, and this is going to be the main deck base. So I shall rest it in the model whilst I put the bridge section on, and then I shall pop it apart, because I want the bridge section to try and conform to the shape it should be in situ, so that when I take it apart it doesn't warp or anything. So, because it's a bit flimsy, that bit, in case you're not sure if you're building this, that's how I'm going to do it. Of course, if any of you have already built this kit, you can always put a picture up in the gallery on my Facebook page. I've got a group and a page, Festa 67's Workshop, on Facebook. If you do a Facebook search, you'll find it. I do a gallery in there, so if you want to post any of your work, feel free to join the group. It costs nothing. Create a group and put photos of your work in there, say who you are, and if you've got a YouTube channel, put a link up to your YouTube channel, and I'll feature your work and your channel on my Sunday show that I do on YouTube. So it's all about spreading the love at the end of the day. So any of you out there that are creative or are doing scale models and are thinking of doing a YouTube channel, take the plunge, do it. Shoot a video, even if it's just a video slideshow and a bit of music on it. Have you some of that? Let people see what you can do. We're all artists at the end of the day, and I get a huge amount of pleasure out of seeing your work and being able to sit there and advertise your work or your channels to give your confidence a boost at the end of the day, because we all had to start from somewhere. And it's don't waste time thinking about it. Just do what I'm doing. Just film a build, and you'll be surprised how many people will respond to your work. So have at it. At the end of the day, it's worth doing. So we'll just glue these bits and pieces in bit by bit, and it is as easy as just following the instructions. So if you're building this, just potter along, have a little looky-loo. There's nothing in there that I've seen so far that is particularly challenging. Just for me, it's quite small parts, so I twitch a bit, so I might use tweezers here and there or other ways of trying to grip things, but that's just me. It's not because the model has been difficult or anything. It's just how I have to assemble stuff, I'm afraid. So we'll just press that in place. That'll then give that bridge piece a little bit more of a substantial thing to rest against. Once they're in, I can then glue it and fix it in place, and it should stay where I want it to then. So we'll leave it a little tilted forward until I put the other side in, and then we can line it all up then. So it's this bit here, so we'll nip that off like that. Get rid of that bit of bungage on the side there, and then we've just dabbed the glue in. I'm not denubbing some of these small bits because I can use the glue to melt the nub and press it together, and it just gives me that tiny little extra bit of plastic to fill the seam with, because some of them don't fit great. So yeah, it just gives that little extra bit of plastic just to ooze into the joint. So that's why a couple of bits have got a nub on them still, because it just helps me fill the gap. So we'll just come in behind there with the extra fin, like so. And that is now complying. I don't want to press it too hard though, because I'm a bit clumsy, and I've got thumbs like 2 bunches of bananas, you know. It's like, really? Right, let's grab the next bit. By powers of deduction, it might well be one of the long sides. I've just got to find it. I'll put the sprue down somewhere. So just quickly move them out of the way. Drop that down there. And it is one of these long ones, if I remember rightly. All the cabins and everything. I've rewatched the film Titanic the other day just to get an idea of some of the bits and bobs spread around the decks and paint schemes and things like that. And in her day, she must have been a splendid sight for the Victorians to see, because the extravagance and, you know, dare I say it, the class system was very up there back in the day. But she must have looked very graceful going out. So yeah, just gives you an appreciation of, you know, 100 years ago, and this vast vessel was built. It must have been proper witchcraft and tomfoolery when the people saw it. But yeah, we'll have a little gluage on there, just like that. Chop the other bit off, like so. There's another bit. And you're just following the instructions, folks. There's nothing massive about this. You're just working your way along, building the cabins behind the bridge first. Get them ones in, and then we can do the main deck structure. And luckily there's, you know, quite a lot of mounting options along there and stuff, so yeah. Considering it's quite a small finished unit, I must admit the moulding on it I don't think it's too bad. It's not overdone and it's not underdone, it's just right, really. And I think I only paid 11 quid for the kit, so yeah, happy days. We'll just have a bit of a dabbage in there, like so. Big old mitt on there. Hunt down the side parts now. They are along here somewhere. Let's have a look. It's not that way. Is it that one? I think it is. Let's have a look. Yeah. So we'll have that. Get that one in. And then we got another one the other side. So we've done the front and rear sections on the deck, and then it'll be the big side ones then, and it'll start taking shape then. It's got all your crooks and nannies poking out, as you can see. We can work our way along and glue them in, just like that. And already she's beginning to take shape. Often wonder what the comparison would be between some of the modern ocean liners and Titanic in scale, I must admit, because last time, I think it was Southampton or Portsmouth, I think it was Southampton actually, they had the Ocean Princess or whatever it was, and it's massive. And I often wonder in real scale how the Titanic would compare against some of the modern ocean liners in scale. Out of a point of interest, there was something on, I think on one of the YouTube videos, there was something about the Titanic and modern ships. So I don't know how up to date it was, but I'll have to search it out. But just glue that bit in there. Like that. Try and get some into the corners as well, because these are little visible bits, and I just want to squeeze the glue in a bit. So that's that other bit of deck done. And the assembly is pretty much the same. That's why I'm doing some cut scenes, because you're literally just gluing the sides, gluing the front, adding a piece. So yeah, pretty straightforward. So I am doing a few cuts on this just to speed things up a bit for you. But my main focus on anything is visible corners and ceilings and things like that. Just trying to pinch it all together and get it in place. And I can then black out everything. Just run a bit of glue along there just to get that piece to conform. Okay, so that's the second level of the decking on, and the sides ready for possibly some smaller cabin roofs and gubbins to go on there. I think by the end of this episode we'll probably have the hull and the decks all ready to go, because it's moving along quite quickly, this one. We'll see how she goes. So let's have a look for the other bits and bobs. There's another layer of deck there to go on the top in a minute, so let's figure out all the side walls and everything and get that built. And then we can start putting this lady together, I reckon. We'll have some of that on there. Just quickly dry fit it to make sure it's okay. Actually, yeah, a little dab of glue can go in there already. I'm just gluing that deck together. Okay, so apologies for just being off. I just wanted to make sure that everything was squeezing into place. There you go. I can now run the glue along there like so, and I tend to hold it up to a light just off shot to my left, so if there's a gap in anything the light will skim through it, and then it just gives me an idea of where things need to be clamped or whatever. It's just a little trick I use just to see whether or not pieces are conforming, because when it's all white you get a bit of snow blindness, don't you? You think it's gone together, and then you think, oh god, look, there's a gap there, so I just have a little bright light off to my side. I'll just quickly hold it up in front of it. It works for me. So Just give that a little bit more glue than perhaps normal, just to try and get everything to go into place in them corners. And she's beginning to stiffen up now as well. The more decks you put on, it just suddenly becomes a nice rigid structure, so you can then come back at it with your extra fin if you want, and you can be a little bit more heavy-handed with the pressure because it's more of a rigid deck structure going on now. So we can just come back round, catch all the little bits that weren't quite adhered, should we say. That swift bit of deckage going on. We're getting to that point where cab roofs are going on and funnelage is going to be coming out to play in a minute, folks. I know, can't control the excitement. So we can have a bit of that. Get that in place. Magical Mystery appearing pliers there. Grab that off of there. And then that can go on. Yeah. I think when it comes to the funnels, I've got to pre-drill holes in them and that. So we'll see how that works out, because I've got all of the easy line and everything to put in for the funnels. So I might be able to get them on there. I'll have a look and see what I think on that. But if I don't. I can always do it on the next episode anyway. So I'll probably wrap this episode up for now. So thank you for watching. Thanks for the time and effort you put in, all your comments you send me. Like and subscribe to the channel and ring the bell for future notifications. Remember to tune in every Sunday for the Sunday Brunch and every Wednesday for the Wednesday show. And I look forward to seeing you in part 2.